Hey guys, welcome to Mr. Smith's Kitchen. Brian, Mr. Smith, kitchen. Kind of self-explanatory, huh? Although we don't always come from the kitchen. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Glad you're here. Glad you found me. Hope you get something out of this. If you're returning, thank you. Let me take my glasses off so that way you don't see the light that's sitting right off the side here. So today, I love this time of year. It's Christmas time. And you know there's utter chaos going on in the outside world right now with everything. And I know it's late Tuesday. I just got home from work and back from the grocery store. But this time of year, it's kind of my favorite in the fact that I get to bake cookies. You know, lots and lots of cookies. And I do so like to bake. I like to bake more than I like to cook, and I love to cook. This video, probably the video that'll come out tomorrow morning. Today we're going to do chocolate chip cookies. Tomorrow, I filmed a video last week on making Buckeyes. I just never got to post it, so it's going to come out tomorrow morning. Then tomorrow evening, with it being Wednesday, we'll do dinner. Still not quite sure what we're going to do yet, but I'm sure it'll be something fascinating and amazing, or maybe ordinary. Who knows? Who knows? I won't know until we decide. It'll involve chicken more than likely because I got some sitting in the fridge. And then Thursday, probably more cookies, or maybe fudge. So this year's lineup for cookies so far is chocolate chip cookies, the peanut butter cookies you already saw, which I'm going to make more of those because they're gone, the Buckeyes, and which I got to make more of those because even though I made 35 of them, gone. We're going to do chocolate chip cookies tonight. We're also going to do some no-bakes. We're going to do chocolate fudge, peanut butter fudge, molasses cookies, some thumbprint cookies with some jam and jelly in them, and there's another cookie that I can't think of the name of. It's like a spretzel cookie or something like that, that you use a cookie press for, and I'm looking forward to that. And those I've never made before. Thumbprint cookies I've made with jam in the center of them. There's also a style where you can put Hershey Kiss in the center, which is probably the more common of the two. But just all kinds of cookies, and I'm going to tape most of them. And so you may just get blasted with some different cookies, but I just really like this time of year, and I want you to share my joy with it at any rate. So anyhow, let's talk chocolate chip cookie. Chocolate chip cookies are kind of a basic cookie. But you can do so much with them because you can put nuts in them, and you can put raisins in them. I mean, you can do anything with a chocolate chip cookie. It's a cookie with chocolate and whatever your heart desires, or just chocolate. You can use whatever type of chocolate you like. For years growing up, we used a semi-sweet chocolate chip. And then last year, year before, something like that, I tried a milk chocolate chip. And oh my God, it was outstanding. And everybody ate them up. So this year we're going to use milk chocolate chips. I think they're awesome. These are a good cookie, good starter cookie. Say you've never baked a cookie in your life before. This is a great one to run with. So are the peanut butter cookies. These are two very can-do, impress your friend cookies. So let's. I'll move the camera down to the countertop. Oh, while I'm thinking about it, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Thumbs up, thumbs downs are always nice. Notification bell, which is the little bell right next to the subscribe button. That way, if you want, you'll know when my videos come out. And as always, I'm always happy and honored that you let me into your life to begin with. But that'll let you know when I have something new to show you, or talk about, or whatever. I was going to do a video today and rant and rave a little, but I thought, you know what? It's the holiday season. I'm not ranting and raving. We're going to bake. So, that being said, let me get the thing down, and we'll start looking at what you need and start making some cookies. All right, let's get that down here. So, and comments are always welcome. I love comments. They're amazing. I encourage them. And you don't have to agree with me or anything like that. The only thing I ask in any way, shape, or form is that you think before you comment. Say something that you've put some thought into, even if you don't agree with me or anything like that. Only because we have our little village here is, it's small, but it's age group and diversified, it's in all ages, and we try to be good neighbors, all right, on this channel. So think before you speak, or think before you type, so to speak. Nothing uncool. All right, so things you will need. You don't have to have a sifter, but I have gotten into the habit of sifting all my dry stuff, flour, stuff like that. So that way there's no lumps, no clumps. It seems to make for a better product. That's an option. But you will at least need a bowl, a mixer of some sort, which I got my stand mixer right here. If you are using a stand mixer, paddle attachment. If you're using a hand mixer, great. You can even do these by hand with a whisk if you want, but I think that's a little more work than I would want to do. So I'm going to say at least a hand mixer. They're a little more affordable than a stand mixer. But today I'm using my stand mixer with paddle attachment. And that's really all you will need. First thing we're going to need to do is I'm doing this kind of old school today. I don't have everything out in proportion bowls. We're just going to measure as we go. So the next thing we're going to need to do first thing we're going to need to do is make sure there's nothing in the oven, like a cast iron skillet, because that's where I keep one of my cast iron skillets. Move that out of the way. You guys are kind of baking with me in real time. I didn't really prep. I wanted you to see how I would do it if I were just hanging out by myself. So we'll set this for 375. Go ahead and get that preheating, because unlike some cookies that we do, we're not going to have to put anything in the fridge to chill. We're just going to make this and go. All right, so we're going to start with our dry goods, or our dry stuff. So first thing we're going to need is 2 1/4 cups of flour at 298 grams. Let me get my glasses on so I may see what I'm reading. We don't have the glare. I'm sorry, 286 grams. 2 1/4 cups of sugar at 286 grams. Whoop, 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 whoop. Getting vanilla everywhere. Get my, one of the most important things in the world that you will need for baking is a scale. I promise you. I will give you all these measurements in cups, teaspoons, tablespoons, but I'll also give them to you in grams. Turn our scale on. That way you can be precise. It's a good habit to get into, because some cookies you may want to try, you have to be precise on. Macaroons is one of them. Those are probably the hardest cookie I make. So we're going to throw 286 grams into the old sifter here. Yeah, plus with flours and sugars and things like that, you don't have, like I said, you don't have to sift some things. I mean, cake flour, powdered sugar you do. But moisture gets in here, it can get a little clumpy. Yeah, so we'll get our 286 grams in here. We're almost there. We're at 251. We're at 276. 10 more grams. Bam. Right there. Oh, hair too much. Yeah, if you're a couple grams over, it's whatever. There we go. 286 grams of flour in there. Set this to the side. Got that. Next thing we will need is our baking soda and baking powder. I buy baking soda in big bags, and I just break them up into, and put them in mason jars. We are going to need 3/4 of a teaspoon or 3 grams of baking soda. There we are, 3 grams, beautiful. We are going to need 1 gram of baking powder. And what this does is it gives the cookies a little bit of lift, right? Because we want a little bit of lift. Now, if you don't, and like I said, I haven't used a measuring spoon yet because I have a scale, which is nice. So we're going to put 1 gram in there. 1 gram it is. Boom. And then we're going to put 1/2 teaspoon or 2 grams of salt. Just plain old, I'm using kosher salt. You can use table salt if you want. I mean, whatever works for you. If you do use kosher salt, which we use kosher salt for pretty much everything, it's not processed the same way. It's a little better for you. You want to make sure it's a finer kosher salt. That way, because what I've found is with the really coarse kosher salt, you can use it, but mash it up. Because if not, you will end up with big salt flakes that don't dissolve in your cookies. It happened to me a lot. And that's never fun. All right, so that's it for our dry ingredients. We've got our 2 1/4 cups of flour, 286 grams, 3/4 teaspoon of baking soda, 3 grams, 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 gram, 1/2 teaspoon or 2 grams of salt, and then that's it. All right, we'll go ahead and get this sifted through and hopefully keep it in the bowl and not on the counter. Yeah, you want to make sure your counter's clean. Yeah, I like to think that that's just kind of a standard thought. Yeah, you want to start with a clean counter, wash your hands, things like that. But I am obligated to tell you to make sure you wash your hands and you have your counter clean. And mostly because you don't want that stuff going into your food. You know, let's say you don't wipe down your counter and you just think it looks clean. You may have a little bit of food residue on there or whatever, or you might have something on your hands you just don't see. We're going to take the dry goods. We're just going to set them to the side. All right, we're done with those for just 1 second. Oh, sorry. Didn't mean to jerk you around there. If you are new to my channel, you have seen my entire kitchen. It's literally, as a matter of fact, I just measured it the other day because I'm about to put a new counter in here that folds. It'll be really cool to see. You guys will see it though. We're going to build it together, as a matter of fact. And that's going to start, like I said, after the first year, I got about a half a dozen projects we're going to start getting into. All right, so the next thing we need to do, now that we got the counter cleared off, we got to move the mixer over. Oh, I tell you what, these stand mixers are great, but they weigh a ton. Paddle attachment and a bowl. And if you don't have, you know, a stand mixer, which is okay. I mean, it took us many years before we could afford a stand mixer. They're so horribly expensive. It took a lot of saving. So now I don't plug in any of my equipment until I go to actually use it because we have little hands around here. You know, and even if you don't have little hands, you may bump the power. Bad things can happen. If I had flour in this bowl, for example, and I accidentally hit the on button, you know, boom, flour all in my face. You know, it would just be horrible. And in our case, we have little hands, you know, and we don't want those little hands coming by and hitting the power button and hurting me, hurting her, you know, Abby in this case, or anything like that. So I don't plug in till the last minute. I make that a recommendation for everybody. It's just safer that way. All right. So the next thing we need is 1 cup of room temperature butter. You're saying, Brian, you're holding it in your hand. You're right, and it is room temperature. It's soft. I can push in on it. You know, that means it's you know, we're at room temperature. Now, if it's not quite at room temperature, and each stick of butter, by the way, it's standard, half a cup. But if you need to know a gram on it, say like you buy your butter in kind of a bulk, because I know like the Amish store over here sells butter in bulk. It's 230 grams. And it has the grams written on it. Yeah, so that way you know. I mean, it tells you pretty much everything you need to know on the measuring piece on there. So what we're going to do is we're going to stick these 2 sticks or 1 cup of butter in the bowl, and then we're going to cream it. So, which means we're just going to take it from being a stick to just being a nice creamy kind of blob in the bottom of the bowl. So we get those in there, and we'll get that started. All right. And like I said, if they're not quite room temperature all the way through, it's okay, because this process will actually warm the butter up enough that it will be creamy. It won't be cold in the center, so to speak, anymore. But if you leave your butter out, I mean, it really depends on the temperature of your kitchen. I mean, like right now, my kitchen's probably 75 degrees. It shouldn't take any more than about 30 minutes to cream your butter up. All right. Here, I'll show you. I mean, that's how long it took. It doesn't take long at all. But if you look, I mean, our butter is no longer, you know, looking like a block. It looks more like a Cool Whip or whipped cream or, you know, something of that nature. But it's cream. That's what they call it, is cream. We've creamed it. All right. Another thing you will need, spatula. We're going to, you know, take care of the sides. You always want to scrape down your sides in between everything you do. And sometimes it doesn't hurt to just stop it and, you know, give it a good once over when you're in the middle of mixing something. You scrape as often as you want to or feel comfortable with. What happens is, this way you make sure everything gets mixed up, but down in the center of this bowl, and this is with every stand mixer, and sometimes with your hand mixer too, because you can't hit everywhere in a bowl, you'll have a dead spot where it doesn't get everything mixed up real well, and you want it to make sure you're getting it mixed up. All right, so we got our butter creamed. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to add 3/4 cup, 150 grams of sugar. Yes, ma'am. She went to the store. She'll be right back. One. Okay. All right. Well, we'll take care of it. And then we're going to need, we got 150 grams, 3/4 cup of white sugar. And then we're going to need 165 grams of packed brown sugar. All right. Now, what packed brown sugar it means is this. Let me grab a measuring apparatus of some sort, and I'll show you real quick. Okay, so if we're going to pack brown sugar, all right, compared to just sugar, and almost every time it's packed, normally I'll tell you at any rate if it's not. All right, see how I've got it scooped right there? You know, and even if we leveled it off, you know, it looks level, but if I push that down in there, see how it's not level anymore? It's not to the edge. It's, you know, because brown sugar is so soft, it doesn't stay. It has air pockets. You know, it doesn't collapse all the way down in like regular sugar does. So you want 165 grams, 3/4 cup of brown sugar. So, and if you're wondering what Sarah was talking about, Abby's giving her fits. They're upstairs and Abby's getting into all her stuff, which I think is funny because she used to do that to her older sister all the time. And we used to get on her about it. And, you know, it's kind of like if you're a bad child, you know, your parents always told you, I hope your kids are like you are. Same principle applies for siblings. All right, so we've got our 150 grams of white sugar. We've got our 165 grams of packed brown sugar. And it can be dark, light, whatever you like. Oven's ready to go, but we're going to mix this until it's light in color, creamy, you know, as can be with having sugar in it. And it'll have a nice light color to it and be kind of fluffy. I'll show you what I mean when we get done, all right? But we're going to let this go on medium high, and it'll take a couple, 2-3 minutes for it to go. Okay, so we let her mix a little bit. Well, for about 3 minutes, really. But what you're looking for is kind of like that texture there. It looks like mashed potatoes. I mean, you're not going to get it super creamy just because the sugar is in there, so it's going to make it a little grainy, but you want it well incorporated, a little air in there, you know, make it look nice. You know, I guess, but light and creamy is kind of the standard say for that, I guess. But, you know, well incorporated, definitely creamy. You know, a little lighter in color. As you incorporate the air in there, the butter will, you know, change a little different color. So the next thing we need to put in here is 2 eggs. And you want your eggs at room temperature also. And baking, dairy is always at room temperature. So we got 2 eggs, large eggs. They're 50 grams a piece. All right. Just crack that on there. 1 egg in there. And then we're gonna beat the eggs in one at a time. Okay? So we'll go ahead and get that mixed in there. And you just want it good and incorporated. You know, you don't have to beat it to death, so to speak. We got that egg in there. Then we're going to put our second egg in there. Second egg, get that mixed up. And while that's running around in there, we're going to add 8 grams, 2 teaspoons of vanilla. And you can be liberal with your vanilla. That doesn't have to be exact. It's just more for flavoring than anything. That was probably closer, in my case, to 9-10 grams of vanilla. I really like vanilla. We're going to give that a good mix. Then we're going to pop that open. We'll give it a good mix with our spatula. Just make sure we get everything from the bottom. As like I said, and this this is no exception to the rule. We want to, make sure it's all mixed up. That dead spot down there in the bottom, it'll get you every time if you're not taking your spatula to it and giving it a good scraping and mixing. Important. Whoa. That happens to me more often than I care to admit. All right, got that scraped. Put that back on there. Pick up the towel. Now, next thing we're going to do, we're going to add in our dry mix that we did earlier. Okay? And then we're going to just kind of mix this up until it is until it's combined. We want to get the flour wet, basically. I'll set this back over here where it was. Now, when you mix this together, start out on low. If you don't, this flour will come flying up on your face and all over your kitchen. So start out on low, and then as it starts to combine, then you can turn it up. Because like I said, if you don't, you will have a face full of flour. Don't ask me how I know, but I know. All right, we're going to stop that for a second. Give it a good scrape down, see where we're at. It looks like, there's a little bit of flour running around there that didn't get mixed in, right? Chocolate chip cookies were one of the first cookies I ever learned how to make. And I know they've been a kind of a staple in our house, even as a kid growing up with my mom and all of them, since I was a kid, every year we had chocolate chip cookies. So the only cookie we're not doing this year is, and we do them most years, but this year I don't know if we're going to have the time to do them. And that's cutout cookies with the icing on the top, like Santa Claus and Christmas trees and candy canes. My grandmother had a recipe that was out of this world for cutout cookies. And we do them almost every year. But it is a very old school recipe, and it's kind of labor intensive. And this year I just don't think we're going to have time to do them. I do want to kind of do stained glass cookies also. I know I've talked about them in the last couple of videos, and they are really good, but they are a little labor intensive. Now I am taking the next 2 days, so like tonight I'm going to do chocolate chip and molasses cookies. Tomorrow we'll make cookies. Thursday we're making cookies. So that way I'm hoping to get all our cookies made over these 2 days. So that way I don't have to fuss with it the week of Christmas, because I got pies to make the week of Christmas. I will be making some wonderful pies. A cherry pie. We're going to do a sugar cream pie, which has also been a staple in my family for as long as I can remember. Alright, so we got all that mixed up, and that is literally everything that goes into a chocolate chip cookie but the chocolate chips. Yeah, you didn't think I was going to leave those out. Although, I have been known to leave things out a lot. Although, I usually, in my defense, I usually catch it before, we do anything, it gets too far. But I have been known to at least forget one ingredient, but not this time. A lot of it's because this time around, we're actually baking these together in real time, just like, you were sitting here in the kitchen with me. Well, in this case, you'd be sitting in the dining room with me, but, because there's just not enough room. There's no room in the kitchen to sit. We want to get all this dough off the paddle, like such. We'll get all the dough off of here. cookie dough is amazing. We're gonna take that off. Now I'm gonna mix the chocolate chips in by hand. Let me get this mixer out of the way for us real quick. Whoa. Yes. And what's on? Oh. Alright. So we gotta make sure. Let's go through real quick, make sure everything's mixed, which I'm sure it is. Oh yeah, that's a good cookie dough. Now, with the brown sugar, that kind of determines the color of your cookies. So you can use a dark brown sugar. You don't have to use a light brown sugar. And that'll make your cookies a little darker if that's what you wish. But you don't have to. Okay, so the last ingredient we need is 2 cups of chocolate chips. And like I said, you use what chocolate chips you like. Traditionally, chocolate chip cookies get a semi-sweet. We have found we like a milk chocolate. And you're going to put about 2 cups of them in there, which is a fair amount. And you don't have to put these in by hand. You can use your mixer. But I know when I use my mixer, 2 cups is a bag, by the way. When I use my mixer, it seems to, that's fine, you can have a banana. It seems to jump my mixer all over the place. And they don't exactly get in where I want them to. They don't seem to get in very even. Where if I do it this way, I know they're going to be in there nice and even. All right. So now all we got left to do is put them on a pan and put them in the oven. So let me get everything kind of cleaned up and organized, and we'll talk about how to put them on a pan. All right? Back in 1 second. Okay, so I got most of my mess cleaned up, at least so we can work a little. I got my cookie sheet out. I got it lined with parchment paper, so that way my cookies are guaranteed not to stick to anything. I have a cookie scoop. Okay, it's like an ice cream scoop, only it's smaller. And it'll take you out about a tablespoon-ish, maybe a little more. And all I'm going to do is, get some. You want to make your cookies even, as even as possible. And we're going to spread them about 2 inches apart. But you want your dough, your cookies to be even as far as size goes. That way, they bake evenly. If you make them one giant cookie and a bunch of small cookies, your giant cookie's not going to be nearly done before your big cookie or your small cookies are, and it just kind of makes a mess. But all we're going to do is scoop these onto the thing here. Scoop that over a little bit. Like I said, you want to give them about 2 inches of space. So, I was watching the news today, and pretty much all that's been on the news lately is those, Kentucky mostly, from all the tornadoes. And I'm here to tell you that I couldn't fathom what those people are going through. They said that was the largest and longest tornado in recorded history for weather. Which is just absolutely crazy. It went over 200 miles, and there was damage done in 9 states from that storm. That is horrible. There was 93 people total that died, 70 of them just in Kentucky. And they have for sure got me and Chris's prayers and thoughts and wishes. And if I could do it, I would for sure be down there helping out. But unfortunately, that's just not in the realm of possibility for me. But I can at least keep them in my prayers. And now's the time to need a good neighbor, just like I'm always talking about. Now, here's the cool thing. The one little city they keep showing. All right, so we got those on there. The one little city they keep showing Um, those people are taking care of each other. You know, they're in crisis, and there's nobody ignoring anybody. They're all coming together to help each other out, and I think that's a beautiful thing. That's, you know, that's what I've been talking about this entire time. Although in that town, they took care of each other before a tragedy, you know, instead of just after a tragedy, which is also what I've been talking about. We take care of each other all the time. So anyhow, these cookies. We're going to put the cookies in the oven right now, 375 degrees Fahrenheit. And we're going to bake them for 9 to 11 minutes. What we're looking for is, like most cookies, we want to see a nice golden brown on the edge, you know, and set in the center, not completely done. And you want to start checking them at 9 minutes and seeing how they're looking, okay? Because your oven may be different. You start looking at 8 minutes, you know. Every 30 seconds it goes past, you know, those cookies get drier and drier and drier. And we don't want them to be dry. We want them to be crisp on the edges, nice dark to golden brown, you know, and firm set in the middle. And these will spread. That's why I told you to 2 minutes. You know, they're going to go from a ball out and down to a normal cookie, okay? Some cookies you have to press down like we did with the peanut butter cookies. These ones, you don't. You leave them in a ball and they just kind of melt down into cookie form. So let me get these in the oven. When I come back, we'll talk about what to do next. Okay, guys, so I baked them for 11 minutes. In case you are new to my channel, this is a new to me oven. I mean, it's brand new. I've only baked one other set of cookies in it, and that was the peanut butter cookies. So, but let's take a look at them, and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. All right, so we'll come right down there, and there we are. And all we're going to do now is we're just going to let them sit for a couple minutes. And I don't know how well you can see it there, but they're a nice golden brown on the edge. And they're not golden brown here. Now, if you watch them when they're in the oven, I know I turn my oven light on and I literally just sit here and watch them bake. I get some joy out of that. But you'll see them, they'll be nice and shiny and wet looking as they melt down. Remember how we had balls, and now they're not anymore, they're just flat. So what we're going to do is we're going to let them sit here and cool. And that's another way you'll know that they're good. You'll see that golden brown edge, and they won't look shiny anymore on top in the oven. And like I said, mine took 11 minutes in this oven, so I'm going to let these sit and cool for a couple minutes, and I'll transfer them over to a rack. So when we get back, they'll be on the rack, and we'll try one. All right? Be back in one moment. Okay, so we got them all baked. Now, I know I didn't say it earlier, but this will yield 36 chocolate chip cookies. Now you're saying to yourself, wow, those look a little flat. And they are a little flat. That's okay. That's kind of the way we prefer them. But here's a little secret. With the baking soda and baking powder, if you go to 1.5 teaspoon, 3/4 teaspoon of baking powder and 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, it'll give them a lift. All right, and they'll be a thicker cookie. Took me a long time to figure that out, and we'll make some like that too. But this particular recipe that we use, this is the way they turn out. I don't remember which. We actually got this off the back of a bag of cookies a long time ago, and I don't remember now exactly which one it was. But all the same, they're a beautiful cookie. Let me bring you up here so I can look you in the eyes and not you looking at my forehead. But I mean, they got a nice golden brown color on the bottom. The lighting in here is horrible, but it's got a nice golden brown edge. The top is still nice and moist, nice and soft. And that's the way it should be. But we're gonna give it a shot all the same. I know they're gonna taste good. Yeah. Oh yeah. They're soft, yet they're chewy, yet got a nice crisp to it. The bottom and that edge where it's crisp, it blends together with the fact the center of it's moist, or soft. I don't know why I keep saying moist. It just seems to be a word that pops into my head. But it's nice and soft. The texture difference is incredible. And I knew it would be. Like I said, we've been making these cookies now for, at least 3 years this way. And maybe even 4. But it's been a minute at any rate. And it's never let us down. And they'll stay soft like this. You can keep them out if they last. Maybe 10 days. At least 10 days. And they'll stay about this soft. We've never had them last longer than 3 or 4 days. That's 36 cookies. You can freeze these also. Pull them out later. Which is what we're going to do with them. I'll put them in Ziploc bags. Stick them in the freezer. And then pull them out a couple days before Christmas. And that way we'll have them, for us to eat for Christmas. Christmas time. And to leave for Santa Claus. Christmas Eve. Don't forget, Santa likes milk and cookies. And I guarantee you, if you make these, Santa will like them also. Guarantee it. I know he's been a fan of them for as long as we've been making them. So anyhow, that being said, try these cookies. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you switch out some of the baking powder for baking soda, or some of the baking powder instead of the baking soda, and get a fluffier cookie. But I think you'll enjoy it just the way it is. I guarantee it. But let me know. Let me know if you try it. All right? Let me know what you think. Like, Brian, that was a great cookie. Or Brian, that was a horrible cookie. Don't ever talk to me again. Whatever. Either way, I'd like to know. Leave me a comment down below. And until tomorrow, where we're going to cook some supper, you get to see the bonus Buckeye video, so to speak. It's not really a bonus video. I already shot it, but I want you to, at least know how I make my Buckeyes. And you'll probably see some molasses cookies, some thumbprint cookies, some, I can't think of the name of them, but you'll see them. At any rate, we'll talk about them more tomorrow. And, yeah. So, till tomorrow, when we make some cookies and cook some dinner. I love you. I love you very much. I mean that with all my heart. Tell somebody else you love them. You love them very much. Take them some cookies. I guarantee they'll like them. You'll have a friend for life. There is nothing better to show your love than a good cookie. All right? I'll see you tomorrow. Talk to you later. Love you.